Good evening and welcome to the May 21st school board meeting. Please rise for the pledge.
By way of announcement, the board met an executive session immediately following our meeting last week on May 14th at Skyview Upper Elementary, where we discussed a personnel issue. We also met an executive session just now where we discussed a personnel issue and a potential unemployment compensation plan. By way of attendance, all board members are present with the exception of Mr. Nascimento, who had to leave this afternoon on business. Recognition of guests and scheduled speakers, Dr. Miller.
Okay. We're going to have a lot of retirees in the audience. We're going to recognize at the end of the meeting and have a little reception for them afterwards. But we have two things to take care of, and I think I have them here. I'll be sure. We have two M Awards to give out to our student board directors. Do you want to do that? Do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
We'll both do it. Okay. Emily Drummond and Reed Hostrander. And then we have one very other important activity to perform. Since Emily and Reed have served us, they get to watch their diplomas being signed. Parents here? Anybody want to come down? Come on.
Yeah, why don't you go stand?
Why don't we do Emily's first?
I'll let Emily sit here while you sign it.
Okay.
And
then we'll swap seats.
A little bit of musical chair. You want to come behind?
She'll use your camera if you want to. Hang on. Technology. You missed it.
I did not.
Got the board breath.
You don't get the key first, you know.
Not yet.
Not yet. There you go.
That means she doesn't have to take her finals.
She'll get it once she takes her
We're
finals.
not giving her the diploma.
She's earned it.
Signing.
Okay, and then we'll switch out.
Thank you so much.
I know. I'll stay sitting in. Where's the other? Okay.
Yes, we'll keep it for now. For safekeeping.
It's not that far away, considering 12 years. You know.
Yeah.
There you go. Scoot out here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
Guy
welcome.
graduated?
Not yet.
Go to school tomorrow. Congratulations.
I'm just going to stick these away for safekeeping for a bit. We started doing that about 10 years ago, I remember, and it's a really nice thing. Thank you for your service, and It's one of the nice things where you get a picture taken of your diploma signing. We have a couple of presentations. Ted Williams is in the audience. He's going to make a planetarium presentation when we get to the planetarium issue. So we're going to put him on hold for a bit. And then we have the bond resolution presentation. Glenn has to be at another school district for another one of these tonight. So somebody had to go first, somebody had to go last, and we got to go first. So they get you later. So Glenn, you're on. And then we're going to actually have public comment, and then we're going to vote on this item so he can get out of here, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, thank you. So in front of you, you have a document with a green cover page that contains all the financial data for the proposed refunding. I'm going to walk you through, I think the best summary is the first 6 or 7 pages, so we'll try to go through that first. On page 1, there are a couple of bullet points. Maybe I'll just sort of walk through those. At the last meeting, you authorized us to do a debt restructuring and for us to lower your run rate on your local effort to $9,350,000 a year. And so that's what this transaction tonight accomplishes. The paperwork's going to be a little bit different than we described, but the result's going to be the same. What we're going to do is issue or authorize up to $13,250,000 of bonds. It's going to be split into bank qualified and non-bank qualified. That did not seem like we needed to do that a month or 2 months ago. Based on the interest rates in the last, well, really starting last week, it makes a couple $100,000 of difference to do it that way. So that's what we have a package for you to do this evening. We need to take advantage of some of the IRS exceptions. I'm in number 2 now. To separate these transactions, they need to be, the pricing or the setting of the interest rates needs to be at least 15 days apart. So for state law purposes, you can approve the whole package tonight, then that's all you need to do. For IRS purposes, in 15 days, then we can put the interest rates on the second series of the notes. So that's what's going to happen. So the whole package is approved this evening. And there's a little graph down there at the bottom, a little chart. This, as we had talked about before, this will be broken into different series of bonds and notes. So while you're approving the whole thing tonight, the part that gets the interest rates established this evening are the 2013 bonds down there at the bottom, $4,225,000. The 2013 notes, $5,480,000. So if you authorize us to proceed, we will have the exact interest rates this evening. And then it looks like about $2,340,000 is what will be priced in 2 weeks in the beginning of June. And so there's a little bit of room there. What happens is, to the extent we don't need that amount, those bonds will be they'll never be issued, but it authorizes us to move bonds around a little bit. And depending on whether we have premium bonds or discount bonds, the size can go up or down a little bit to get to the target of $9,350,000. So that's a little summary there. And the very last point, we were able to, I think I mentioned the last time, we were a little bit concerned about the risk of a downgrade with Moody's. We're on the phone with the administration and the rating agencies, and we were able to get the AA2 credit rating confirmed. The outlook is still negative, but the ratings are confirmed for this transaction. Okay. Why don't I just stop there and make sure everybody's with me before I go on. Is that okay? Okay. So on page 2, this is very similar to what you saw before. The only difference is the red column we've added in. I think before we had columns 4 and 5. Again, those are the interest rates you'll be locking in this evening. The red is the transaction, or that piece of the transaction. The IRS makes us wait 15 days until we lock in the interest rate, so that would be the red. Then at the end of the day, in column number 7, you see this looks very similar to what you saw before, the $9,350,000. I want to say we called it option 2A when we were here last time. The only difference is the very last bit of the payments there where it says $3,135,000. That's lower than what we had before. I think we were around $3,400,000 before, so this comes in a little bit lower as it's laid out here. And then again, if you, the graph at the bottom shows how The red line is where you were in the do-nothing scenario, and then with the gray and the red and the different colors there, that's what you're going to be going forward. So the debt goes out a little bit longer, but it lowers it from I think it's 10 million, 10 million 6 approximately to the 9 million 3. Okay. So in terms of some bonds in column number or page number 3, this is what the resolution authorizes. It authorizes in column 2 a maximum amount of for the notes is column 2. Column 3 is the maximum amount for the bonds. Column 4 is the total. And column 5 says that all of the interest rates will be 5% or less. So that's the big resolution, authorizes all of that. And then if you flip to the next page on 4, these are the actual bonds that RBC has been able to price today. If you go forward, the coupon rates are in column number 3, and the yields are in column number 4. And then likewise, the next page is the notes that you would be approving this evening. The coupon rate is in column number 3, and the yields are in column number 4. Okay, and so then the last piece would be on page 6. It looks like about $2,340,000 would be the par amount that would be remarketed at least 15 days from now. Column 3 are the coupons, and if you look at the last two, I think this assumes 5% coupons. The yields would be as shown in column number 4, and that's the piece that could move around, and whether we put the bonds in 24 or 25, that's where we need a little bit of flexibility. So, and then, there's 20 pages or whatever of all the sort of detail of what's going to happen. So if you accept the resolution, you would authorize these bonds as I've described them. You'd authorize us to work with the paying agent to refund pieces of the old bonds, send out all the notices, and this would really be the last action the board would need to take. Mike Lillies is here from RBC. If you have any questions about the purchase proposal or the sale of the bonds, John Cox is here from Rhodes & Son to answer any questions you have about the resolution. And I think he'd like a roll call vote. Any questions?
No questions from the board. May I have any public comment on this one board action? Okay, there being none, do I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented by bond counsel authorizing the issuance of the school district's general obligation bonds and notes series 2015? Mr. O'Neill, do I have a second? Mr. Ralph? Mr. Phillips? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Shackelford? Yes. Mrs. Barone?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitfield? No. And I vote yes. Motion unanimous.
Did
Did you make the motion?
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mr. Roth?
Yes.
Okay, we still have unanimous. 8-0.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Yep. Have a good trip. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, moving on to reports. Mr. Massimento is not here this evening, as I mentioned.
He had to leave out of town this afternoon. Policy Committee, Mrs. Shackelford.
Yes, hi. Mr. Horny, Mrs. Woodring, and myself met at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, May 14th. Reviewed the following policies, which are in the agenda tonight for a first reading. 000 is a board policy, procedure, administrative regulations. It has been put back on as a first reading. What was added was the reorganization of the policy series to designate the series 300 as employees, and it merges the 400 and 500 series And we discussed this last month, how PSBA is merging series that are identical into just one series now. Second one is 006, which is meetings. Section 5, regular meetings, has been changed to read that the meetings shall be held at the location and times advertised. 249, bullying and cyberbullying. They've added cyberbullying for students to this policy. Next one, 349, bullying, cyberbullying is a new policy, and it was put on here a mistake. It is we're still reviewing that policy, so it is not on for a first reading, rather. And then again, as I said, as I mentioned last month, PSBA is merging the 400 and 500 series policies and creating the 300. So there are quite a few policies on your agenda tonight that are being merged. And then there are following, we put these ones on hold for further review and board input. They are board policies. One is 4.1, which is student board membership. The second one is 005, organization. And the last one is 006.1, broadcasting meetings. So we will set up something because we would like to get board input when we're finished reviewing all of the board policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Shackelford. I have one question. On the policy 006, the meetings, you said that was for the alternating.
Well, the policy as it stands right now says the meetings are going to be at 7:30.
In the evening?
And they're at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And they say that they are the third Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of every month, which they're not. I mean, in December, we only had one board meeting.
Oh, okay.
And in this month, we moved them up.
And sometimes in the summer, we only have one.
Yeah. So we need to give that flexibility.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to property, Mr. Phillips.
My update is on the fields and lights. I would say by end of next week, we'll have all the plans in the Worcester Township for the conditional use, so we can have that hearing on the lights. Also, shortly after that, probably about mid-June, we'll have all the plans and application in for land development to start that process with the township also. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Moving on to technology, Mr. Roth.
As we did not have a meeting, I have no report. Thank you.
Very good. North Monco Technical Career Center, Mrs. Woodring.
Thank you. The JOC met last night over at the Tech Center. Some of the topics we discussed were, number one, the 13-14 projected enrollment right now sits at just under 1,100 students. That would include 405 new students as of a count taken on May 20th. 47 of those students are from Methacton. The new business manager arrangement, that job share that we entered into with the MCIU, seems to be working well so far. We approved a number of summer jobs and employees. There are now 4 program areas placed on probation, and that again is due to declining, or I guess you would call it declining interest in that particular program. Those 4 are electrical trades, floral design and landscape, precision machining, and welding. And program audits will be conducted on each to assess the root causes with an improvement plan for next school year. Their senior recognition night is scheduled for June 3rd, that's at North Penn, and the last meeting of the school year for the JOC will be June 17th. That's my report.
Thank you. Intermediate unit, Mr. Jones.
The intermediate unit is still working on their budgets, as we all are. They are putting a lot of emphasis on doing consortium buying of a number of things, not only, and they got into the healthcare, but also electric supplies, technology, and that type of thing, and they're making a big push on all of that, and they seem to be getting some pretty good prices. Other than that, life is as usual.
Very good, thank you. Legislative liaison is me. Governor Corbett has ordered the delay in Common Core standards implementation date beyond July 1st after consulting with lawmakers, as it appears that not all the lawmakers were on board with the move to these learning expectations. The Common Core's conversation has been going on for a while and is actually quite controversial. The House State Government Committee approved House Bill 1020. This bill would eliminate the ability of school board candidates to cross-file in all elections. And this week, the Special Education Funding Formula Commission, created under Act 3 of 2013, held its organizational meeting, and they're going to meet again on June 13th for its first public hearing on the issue. This commission is charged with developing the components for a new special education funding formula for distributing state money to local school districts. Act 3 calls for the commission to issue a report and recommendation by June 30th, 2013. And that's all I have. Moving on to Home and School Liaison, Mrs. Barone.
Tonight we have Christine Steer here from Woodland. She's the president of the Home and School. So thank you for coming.
Good evening. I'm Christine Steer. I'm currently the president of the Woodland Home and School Association. On behalf of Woodland Home and School Association, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and let you know all the wonderful things that we've done at Woodland this school year. We've had a very successful and productive school year. Like all the other schools, we struggle with fundraising and getting volunteers to staff our events. But thankfully, we have a wonderful core of volunteers that continually step up to the plate and create exciting and fun things for our students and provide the much welcomed and needed support to our teachers and staff. Some of the things that we have done, we obviously raise funds. And so we were very successful this year. We raised approximately $14,000. We have a primary fundraiser that we do in the fall, which is a walkathon. Most of the schools do this, but we also have tried to come up with creative and fun ways to raise money that doesn't pick the pockets of our families over and over again. And some of the things that we've come up with is we created a really fun competition with the classrooms this year called Reach for the Stars, where the classrooms competed in bringing in box tops and collecting box tops from their homes. And in doing that, we collected over 15,000 box tops, which is a school record. It translates into about $1,500 for the Home and School Association, but it's something that the kids can get involved with. They really enjoyed the competition. It obviously is something that parents can, there's nothing special they have to do other than clip the box tops on products that they're already purchasing. The other thing that we also do is provide the opportunity to buy kids stuff coupon books, which is a fundraiser to the school, but it also provides coupons for our families, so for area businesses and events. So they're helping us fundraise for the school, but they're also getting a benefit as well. Another thing that we did this year that was really new and different is we partnered with our art department and an organization called Square One Art, and each child during the school year in the fall created a unique special piece of art that was then scanned into the Square One Art system, and their families were then able to purchase personalized keepsake items with their child's piece of art on it. So they could buy a piece of jewelry, a pot holder, a mouse pad, a tile. There's a variety of things that they were able to purchase, and the kids were so proud to have a t-shirt with their artwork on it, but also it was a fundraising opportunity for the school. Square One Art provides us 30% of our profits, and with that endeavor we raised about $1,600, which was, like I said, it was a new thing. We weren't sure if it was going to be well received, and the parents and teachers loved it so much it's probably going to become a Woodland tradition. And obviously Mrs. D'Onofrio, our art teacher, loved encouraging things with the arts, so that was a really fun event that we're going to continue on. And with all these funds that we've raised, we're able to help with, not only provide fun things for the kids to do, but provide some financial support to the school. One of the things that we do is we provide all the homework. We fund all the homework planners that each of the children are given at the beginning of the school year to keep track of all their homework. We also provide every fourth grade student with a yearbook so that they, at the end of the school year, so as they move on to Skyview, they have a memento where they're guaranteed to have a memento of their time at Woodland, which is a really special time. We also, this year, are working to take over paying for all the school supplies that the parents get every summer when they get their teacher assignment. They get a supply list that their classroom requires. We're hoping that we can fund that, and therefore no family would have to worry about running around at the end of the summer trying to buy pencils and books and erasers and all that kind of stuff. Some other ways that we assist Woodland, we also provide every teacher at the beginning of the school year $100 that they can use at their discretion to buy whatever school supplies that they would like. We also are in our second year of a mini grant program where we will fund teacher and school improvement projects up to $3,000 during the school year, and that's been really well received. So these are things that we're doing at Woodland. We're really proud of all our accomplishments. We really love volunteering in the school. We love our teachers. We love our students, of course. And we love Dr. Reddish. We work with her throughout the school year to find other ways that we can help. And that's what we love to do. And I thank you for the opportunity to let you know all the great things we do at Woodland. Thank you.
I inadvertently skipped over community liaisons. Mrs. Barone, do you have a report?
I just wanted to make a comment about Christine's presentation. I just wanted to thank you for Home and School. Home and School is no longer just planning parties any longer. I mean, as you're going to see when we start going through our budget later tonight, you know, between the state and local budget restraints, we really are depending a lot on our home and schools, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you. And next, for Lower Providence, I do not have a report tonight that regards Methacton. Thank you.
Mr. Roth?
Other than what Mr. Phillips reported under Property Committee with regards to Worcester Township, I do not have any other thing to report. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Moving on to school board representatives. Student representatives, sorry.
At the beginning of this month, we held the Methacton Art Show at the high school in the library, which was May 3rd through the 5th, which featured 23 senior AP students who ended up, I know a couple who sold prints of their artwork for as much as $80. So it was very well received, very well attended, and we are very congratulatory of those 23 artists. The International Fair was held this past weekend, May 18th, which was sponsored by Student Council and held by, or organized by Ricky Lee and Aisha Contractor, 2 students. And we had, I think, about 9 or 10 countries represented, including student representatives from India, the Philippines, China, and Armenia. So that was also very well received by the community. And finally, for me, 8 high school students were inducted into the National Technical Honor Society at North Montco Technical Career Center, and those 8 students are Joseph DeLangelo, Fallon Heinz, Bonnie Taylor, Caitlin Skeens, Kimberly Chrisman, Teresa Miller, Kelly Lynch, and David Hardy. So we are very proud of our North Montco students.
In addition, the high school recently hosted Battle of the Bands, where 5 teams competed, and all money raised there went to charity. And also, many of the spring sports have come to an end, and they all had amazing seasons. Baseball and softball are the only 2 spring sports still competing in districts. Baseball is a big game tomorrow. And also, the girls' track team won the Pac-10 title. And just recently, the Electric Car Club attended an alternative energy car competition where they had such cars like the Tesla and other cars that run off of different things that aren't oil, I guess. And also, all AP tests are now officially over, and we are all preparing for graduation.
Thank you. Okay, Superintendent's report, Dr. Miller.
We'll talk about that a little later. I do need to have Donna coordinate some dates for all of you. We need to have our first meeting with the search consultant, assuming we approve the search consultant tonight. Sometime in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have Donna send a list of potential dates out that you can respond to. Also need to let Donna know, and I'll ask her to email you all tomorrow on this too. If you're planning to attend commencement, there's a parking pass at your place. If you're planning to attend, so take that with you. You will do that. But if you're planning to attend, I'll ask you to respond to Donna's email tomorrow because we need to know how many chairs to set up, where you want to sit them. And then we'll also need to set up interviews for the firms for services to a solicitor. That'll probably be the next thing down the line sometime right after commencement. So we'll get some dates out for you for that too. So it's going to be a busy spring. That's it.
Thank you. Board minutes. I was going to do the board minutes. Yeah. Do I have a motion to approve the board minutes of April 16th, 2013 and April 23rd, 2013?
Yes.
Mrs. Woodring? Do I have a second? Mr. O'Neill? All in favor?
Mrs. Petrowskis, perhaps you skipped over the public comment on board action items?
Possibly.
Well, no, I was going to do it right after this, unless you have a comment on our minutes.
This is one of the things that's voted on.
Do you have a comment on our minutes?
No, I do not.
Thank you. All in favor? 8-0. Motion carries. Public comment on all other items on the agenda. Do I have any? Mr. Andrews.
John Andrews, Lower Providence. You have the budget on the agenda this evening, and I have some comments on that. Where are they here? Some on the board last week were somewhat pensive that the administration's proposed final budget raised taxes by almost 3%. While also presenting ideas for lower increases. In Methacton, I claim that 2.95% is not fiscally responsible to your taxpayers. On the other hand, only 3 taxpayers attended the meeting. It was stated pension costs are exploding and are unsustainable. I agree, but that's out of school board control. The administration also objected to 20% of the busing cost just to bus non-public students. Now, they amount to 20% of the students that live in the district, so wouldn't it cost the same if they were in Methacton schools? What can our board control? One answer is the number of teachers. While other districts with rising taxes have rising enrollments, we're somewhat unique in that our enrollment is falling. This fall, enrollment will be about 5,000. That's an 8% decline from the peak of 54 in 2006, and on the way to 4,500. Yet the budget called for a drop of 6 in the fall. And overall, since the peak in 2006, the number of teachers has dropped 2 or 3%, while the enrollment dropped 8%. I had done a detailed study presuming perfect scheduling capability that just in the high school showed that we have 20 excess teachers relative to a perfect scheduling. And that's quite a cost impact. That would be without program changes. That's one place to be fiscally responsible. Classrooms and buildings are also under local control. There will be 1,460 empty seats this fall. That's 23% of the available seats. With even lower vacancy rates, school districts in Philadelphia and Chicago, both democratically controlled, will be closing schools to save money. Maybe the Republicans want to catch up with the Democrats. Dr. Miller, as superintendent in 2004, claimed we needed 6,300 seats this year. Now I can understand why he's silent on this issue. It's the current board's responsibility to realize that empty seats are unsustainable and divert resources. We do not need Skyview now or in the fall. And we can return to 5 K-5 schools, and that would be better educationally and fiscally and it would involve having 6, 7, and 8 in the Arcola portion of the building. Other uses for Skyview might turn it into a profit center. The budget affects taxes. After 30-plus years of tax increase and enrollment in decline, Methacton taxes should be cut, not raised, for the board to be fiscally responsible. The local economy is in bad shape. I think the pharmaceuticals alone have dropped 10,000 employees. That has an impact on a lot of people in many ways. I hope the board can work the budget down further. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any additional comments on any items the board is taking action on this evening? Ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Schlenker, and I'm from Lower Providence. Tonight, you're going to hear a presentation from Mr. Ted Williams about the planetarium. And I want to appeal to you folks as parents, grandparents, citizens, community members, however you are in the community, to keep going with the planetarium. It is an awesome program. I don't know if any of you have ever had the option and the opportunity to go and view a planetarium program. If you think it's just for the Arcola students, don't. He's going with the elementary students. He's working with the high school students. And the last 4 years, he started working with, and I know I'm nervous, so don't worry. He started working with the 4-year-old kids that come into the play school program in the 8th grade curriculum through Mrs. Whiston's Family and Consumer Science class. Those 4-year-olds are now using the planetarium. It's an awesome program. We have an awesome director. I have never seen anybody captivate a 4-year-old like him. And they walk around for a month and a half talking about galaxies that I still don't understand. So all I can say is I appeal to you to do whatever it is to make sure that this budget of this year covers any needs for the planetarium to keep it going. It is a well-needed, I don't know how you guys care about it, but I personally loved when the kids were at Arcola. I still have one more to go through. But when they have to go outside, even in the freezing cold weather, and look up at the sky and see the stars that our God and everyone created, our Creator created them in such an awesome way, and He's getting the kids to look at them and see how they make designs, make constellations, things that will stick in their minds for years to come. Because I'm sure each and every one of you can go out and pick out Orion, because somewhere along the line you had a teacher that taught you where Orion was in the fall and where the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper were. And there are things kids of today and future need to keep going. And we have an awesome room over there called a planetarium. And I implore that you please keep it going for all the kids, for future, forever. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Yes, ma'am.
These are note cards in 2013. Sorry. My name is Lisa Chaya. I live at 3022 Peacock Drive. The Methacton School District mission statement says, can you hear me okay if I stand here? Okay. The Methacton School District mission statement says, Methacton School District believes that all students should be given equal opportunity to achieve their greatest potential. The current proposal to eliminate full-time librarians at the elementary level does not support this mission. The proposal is to staff the library based on the number of students in each elementary building. It is true that all children will have the same access to library class. And in fact, Woodland already shares music and art staff with Skyview. However, that sacrifice is offset by the fact that students and staff do not expect to have unfettered access to the art or music facilities.
Excuse me, Lisa, I'm sorry that I have to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. If this not the proper time?
Yeah, we aren't voting on the librarians this evening. This time is to comment on any action item the board will be taking tonight, and we won't be taking action on that. Now, you'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting for courtesy of the floor, and you can talk about anything you want.
I apologize.
No,
I'm new at this. And I'll be back. Thank you.
Do I have any other comments on action items? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Casey Moore, and I live in Worcester. And I wanted to also back up Mrs. Schlanger's comment on the planetarium, as I was a student through Arcola and through Worcester, where we took trips to the planetarium, and I am one of those people who will go out every night to look up at the stars, and I can tell where Orion and a couple others are. I still have the little wheel that we made, and I think the planetarium is an absolutely wonderful thing. I am now in college at Monco, and I really wish they had a planetarium there. I really want to find another one I can go to, because that was one of the best experiences I've had, being able to have access to a planetarium in elementary school and in middle school. So I also am in full support of anything that could help the planetarium and benefit the students to have a better experience there in that planetarium.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, moving on to fiscal items, Mr. Whiteleather.
Thank you. Dr. Miller and I are going to be tag team tonight on a couple of items. For purposes of just letting you know, items 10.3 and 10.8 will be items that Dr. Miller will be reviewing with you this evening. The items that I would ask for your consideration this evening, items 10.1, our list of monthly bills, 10.2, our monthly treasurer's report, items 10.4, which is our Visa card payment system for vendors, which spoke about at Finance Committee meeting. This is a no-cost item to the district. It's an effort for us to go paperless with paying our vendors electronically, as well as item 10.5. This again is a paperless process we're going to with paying of all of our employees. All of our employees are currently on direct deposit for payroll. This will transition all of those employees over to direct deposit for any non-payroll related items. So any tuition reimbursements, mileage reimbursements, conferences, etc., will be done via direct deposit as well. This obviously is a significant cost savings to the district, not only in staff time, but also postage, envelopes, the cost of checks, etc. Items 10.6 would be appointment of our local auditor. We are asking for your approval of Major and Mastro. They've been auditing the school district since 2004, and their cost of $18,000 reflects no increase from last year. Item 10.7, food service management contract. Following the evaluation of all submitted proposals, through that evaluation process, we are recommending to you this evening the approval of Aramark Education for the period of July 1, 2013 to June 30th, 2014, at a guaranteed financial profit to the school district amount of $32,330. Last item that I have on for this evening is item 10.9. This would be the approval of the installation of owner-provided bleachers and divider curtain, high school gymnasium, and an installation of bleachers at Arcola Gymnasium. What we did is we purchased the bleachers on CoStars, which is a state bid, which does not require us to go out for competing proposals. That price was $121,450. We are asking for your approval this evening for the installation of that at a cost of $74,270. I'm pleased to say that our original budget for this total project was $235,000. Based on the pricing we received, the total project cost is $195,720. So we're coming in approximately $40,000 less than what we had originally anticipated. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Why don't we go ahead and vote on those items here? So do I have a motion to approve items 10.1 and 2, and 10.4 through 10.7, and 10.9? Mr. O'Neill, do I have a second? Mrs. Shackelford? All in favor?
I have a question.
Question? Sorry.
Sorry. I don't have all my paperwork from our budget presentation. Is the item 10.4 the one that is going to generate revenue for us?
Yes. We have anticipated with consultation with our local bank that will be running the system fully operational. We're expecting upwards of $100,000 in revenue for the district. Obviously, that will be a building process as we get up to that target amount, but it actually is a system that will pay the school district back for vendors who utilize Visa for receiving district-generated payments for services or products we purchase from them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to Dr. Miller.
Item 10.3, the budget presentation. You have 2 copies of the budget at your place. The thick one, which says PD 2028, is actually the document that we're asking you to approve tonight. That's the document that gets submitted to the state and will be posted on the website. That's by law. That's the official document. The other document is the budget that you're more familiar with seeing, which has actuals from 9/10, 10/11, 11/12, and so on. That's kind of the document we typically talk from, so whichever one is more comfortable for you, you can use. They both have the same numbers in them. We've been working on the budget since I've been here now, 4 or 5 weeks, looking at every line item. Realize we're doing some catching up, but we're getting there. We're looking right now at, we think, an ending balance of about $450,000 to $457,000. That's about 0.5% of the budget. What we're recommending, and I gave you this information before, but I'll give it to you again. What we're recommending is using $250,000 of that and $100,000 of the budgetary reserve as carryover revenue. So that's $300,000 of carryover revenue, and then another $260,000 of expenditure reductions. $50,000 in the facilities budget, $40,000 in supply budgets, $55,000 in the tech budget, $5,000 in printing costs, $45,000 in the CNI budget. That was money that was undeclared. It was in there, but it really isn't tied to anything in particular. $5,000 in what we think is a little bit over budgeted in life insurance for next year, and then $10,000 in our EIT collection fee that we think we can reduce a little bit. That's an overall change of $560,000. That drives down the millage increase at this point to 0.561 mills of increase to a millage rate of 27.39. That's currently a real estate tax increase of 2.09%. We don't believe we're done yet. We're still looking at some areas where I think, given a couple of weeks, we can fine-tune a little further. As I said, I know we're a little late in the game, but we just need a little more time to get all the way drilled down into the various items of the budget and see if there are some more issues that we can bring to you. That said, I think we'll do better than that before final budget, but we are where we are right now, and that's 2.09%, and I would recommend that budget to you. That's a budget in expenditures, the amount of $95,311,312. And to give you I'll read the official here, 27.39 mills, an increase of property tax of 2.09%. Further, we're recommending that you authorize the superintendent to give public notice of the intent to adopt a final budget at a public meeting of the Board of School Directors, which will be held on June 25th, 2013. We will make the budget available for public inspection as required under Section 687 of the School Code and Special Session Act 1. This will also authorize us to submit PDE 2028, which is, as I indicated, the kind of bigger packet that you have in front of you, the certification of use to the Department of Ed, certifying that the proposed final budget has been prepared, presented, and will be made available for public inspection as required under 687A1. That your authorization will permit us to do all that, to advertise it, and to bring you a final budget on June 25th. As I indicated, I hope smaller than the one on May 21st, but we need a couple weeks more to work on it. And with that, I would recommend you approve the preliminary budget.
I think we should discuss and take action on that.
Everything's fresh in everybody's.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed final budget?
Can I ask a question first?
I'll take a motion in a second, and then we'll ask. So do I have that motion? Mr. Jones? Second? Mrs. Barone? Questions?
Yes, that's me. My biggest question was, looking at this, I didn't get a chance to look through it quickly, but am I to understand that we aren't reducing programs? We're just kind of working on supplies and things like that?
Other than the programs we talked to you about before, we are not, there are no program reductions in this reduction, yes. There are supply reductions, some shifting of funds, some reduction of funds that we think we can make it through the year without, but there are no program reductions at this point.
I have a few questions also. And I'm using the last budget document that we worked from.
Okay.
So I guess my first question, going back to our vendor payment system and an anticipated revenue from vendors using the Visa program. I think you said this last time, but I forget. Did we factor that into our revenues at all?
We have not for right now, but we are, in working with Dr. Miller and the rest of the administration, we will be incorporating other items that will either generate an additional revenue or reflect additional cost reductions. So that is an item that will be looked at as far as preparing the final budget for you for approval on the 25th.
I think we really are struggling with exactly how much revenue to put in there for this first year until they get the whole system set up, start contacting vendors, we get into it.
Yeah.
We're struggling with what, but we'll pick a number at some point and say this is what we think of.
Okay, thanks.
So that will help us.
My other question has to do, I'm looking at local revenue again under summer school tuition, and I guess I'm noticing that since the 09-10 budget, we've inserted some revenue for summer school, but for our proposed 13-14, we have not. So is that?
If you look at the line just below that, which would be the tuition adult evening, yes. That incorporates both the summer school tuition as well as the other continuing education programs throughout the district. So the revenue source is still coming in. However, for coding purposes, it was included in that item. The intent moving forward is to then resegregate that item from the adult evening education and make that its own separate line item again.
Okay.
But just for purposes of showing you that number does reflect both continuing ed and also the summer school tuition.
So it's just a change in reporting.
Yeah.
Correct.
One of the things we're finding that's happened apparently to the budget over the years is some line items have been consolidated. I think for ease maybe of, well, for ease, yeah. And really, they should be disconsolidated, that's probably not a word, but they should be split apart again so that it more accurately reflects where the revenue is and where the expenditures are. So summer school revenue should be kept separate from adult evening school revenue because they are two very different things. And so we're going to be working on doing some of that. We may not get all of that done in this budget, but I think going forward, Stuart is looking to do some of that.
Okay. I've got another one. I think that I heard Dr. Miller say that there was maybe some benefit that may be lesser costly than originally proposed.
Well, I think we had more budgeted in the life insurance benefit than we need for next year.
Okay. I noticed under the 2700 series transportation, that object class, the projected 12-13 expense for benefits and the 13-14. There's quite a jump there, and I guess I just wondered if there's an explanation for that jump.
What we do is when we prepare the budget, all of our benefits are distributed based on what portion of the salary attributes to the total. So if we have a total cost outlay across all categories, each one of the function codes is a certain percentage of that total. Based on that, that percentage of benefits that is then allocated to that function. So this $2.2 million you see for 13-14 represents the percentage of the overall total of all benefits that are attributable to that function code based on the percentage of the total. Did that make sense for everybody?
It's an accounting issue.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
As one thing goes up, if something stays the same, the relative percentage of that one unit would go up.
That's very correct.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions for either Mr. Whiteleather or Dr. Miller?
I'd just like to thank you for your work. I'm impressed by how much you were able to get out in a week's worth of time. Just want to thank you for that.
We're not finished yet.
I understand. I got that written down.
So you don't forget, right?
He tells me he takes good notes, so expecting to hear that.
Okay, there being no other questions, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-1. Okay, let's move on to Architerra.
Compensation for additional services for Architerra. We needed some zoning drawings done by Architerra that were not part of the original contract, and we've been working with him to get those done. We'd like to have you authorize that he submit them to us for an amount of compensation not to exceed $7,000.
Do I have a motion to approve the additional compensation for Architerra? Mr. Jones, second. Mr. Roth, any questions? Jim?
Questions and possibly amend the motion. One of the things I'd like to do is flag this motion or flag this invoice. That way, if we go back, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because if we do vote it down, he'll hold the project up, and he's already shown that he'll do that, and he's willing to do that. So I wanted flagged that we can go back later, and if we see that the contract, it was covered under his contract, that we have recourse on going back to collect that money.
Yeah, we can appeal it, and there's a process for doing that. So, and Eric and I have talked about that. But you're right. If we don't approve it, the project will be dead in the water for a while.
And the plan, as far as this supplement, is that just for the lights, or is that for the land development portion?
It's for the whole thing because he's got to put all of the zoning and all of the previous variances on that as well. So I think it's for everything.
Because the one thing in his contract, it says if we're going to the zoning board meeting, we're not at the zoning board yet. And we were just the supervisor level, even though we're discussing zoning ordinances, but this is something that I would say is under his contract, and I'll go along with this so we don't stall the project, but I want to go back and revisit it and take action to recover the money if it wasn't covered under his contract.
Right, and that's exactly what Eric and I have talked about, that we would approve it, and we'll notify him that we've approved it pending appeal later on, so that he gets his money and he does the drawings, and then we fight about it later.
So can we amend that motion that we're going to flag this invoice?
Yeah, I'm not why not, or amount of compensation not to exceed $7,000 pending our right of appeal. Would that be okay? Pending our right of appeal.
Okay, so I need a first for that. Mr. Jones? And Mr. Roth, you'll second that? Okay. All in favor of the amended compensation, authorization for the compensation for additional services for Arcatera? 8-0, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to personnel items. Mr. Harney.
Yes, we have 2 resignation professionals for your approval this evening. We have 3 resignation classifieds. We have 1 employment administrative, Ms. Danielle Penza, as business office supervisor at salary that is listed. We also have an employment professional, Jennifer Naples, special education instructor, Methacton High School. We have 1 employment long-term substitute professional. We have 6 change of status professional. 1 compensated professional development leave. We have 1 uncompensated leave administrative, 5 uncompensated leave professional, 1 uncompensated leave classified. We have 4 supplemental contracts for your approval this evening. We have 1 addition to our classified substitute list. We also have the attached list of volunteers for your approval, and 7 advisements. That's it.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve under personnel items, item 11.1 through 11.17?
Yes.
Mrs. Woodring, do I have a second? Mrs. Barone? Any questions for Mr. Harney? Mr. Phillips?
The transfer of Jason Sargini, can you expand upon that?
Jason requested a transfer to Worcester. I don't usually state people's reasons in public. If you want to know his reasons, I'd be happy to talk to you privately about them. But he came to us and asked if he could put in for that. Jason's done a good job. We had absolutely no reason to deny that, so we asked. We gave him his transfer and gave him his request. And I'm sure he'll do a fine job at Worcester, just like he's done at Eagleville.
Any other questions for Mr. Harney or for Dr. Miller? If not, all in favor? 8-0, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on.
Can I jump in 1 second? I'm sorry.
Sure can.
We have Danielle Penz in the audience. I thought it might be nice for her to stand up and be recognized, and we can put a name for a face. Danielle, if you'd stand up for us. Welcome.
She's also about to be your new board treasurer, so.
Welcome.
Just so you know that.
Okay, let's move on to programs, Dr. Miller.
Okay, we're going to ask you to move. Ted is going to make a presentation on a planetarium. I gave him 10 minutes. I'm not sure Ted knows what 10 minutes is, but we'll work on it, won't we, Ted? Tick-tock, tick-tock, 10 minutes. And then we'll talk about the planetarium lease as soon as he's done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank the school board for giving me the opportunity to address them and the Methacton community. I wanted to address this issue fairly quickly because it came up this past school board meeting. I wanted to take advantage of some of the amazing term events we've had here. We have Dr. Miller back, and because Dr. Miller's back...
That is not an amazing turn of events.
Because Dr. Miller's back with us, I wanted to push this project now because he's the one person in the room that can give the validation that I need that started this project back in 2004. When Dr. Miller first came to us, he did the same type of operation of holding the budget and going through with a fine-tooth. And he came up with some of the proposals I was making at the time for our planetarium. At that time, we had a 30-year-old Spitz ATM4 planetarium system. We were controlling 10 slide projectors, and what we did is we automated this system. And the reason we did the automation was because the control panel for the system was in such bad shape, we wanted to use a computer to drive the system. We also were required to bring the system up, the lighting system in the planetarium to electric codes. We installed an LED system controlled by a DMX automated system. What Dr. Miller basically did is asked a few questions. He said to me, what are we trying to do with the planetarium? And I said, we'd like to replace all the side projectors. We'd like to put in one digital light projection system. And that system would take care of the star projection and also the multimedia. At that time, the cost of the digital light projection system was $700,000. Dr. Miller informed me at that time it was beyond the range of our school district and asked some very pointed questions. For example, how long will this Spitz automation system, or how long will the Spitz projector last? I didn't mean to be wise at anybody at that time, but the answer turned out to be as long as we pay the warranty. With 30 years of service, and this was 10 years ago, we had already replaced all of the declination, right ascension motors. We had already replaced most of the slides on the projector, and we were running into the problem of all of the wiring being rubber. That rubber coating on that wire starts to break down with time, and when it's exposed to the ultraviolet lighting, we were basically afraid to even use the system at that point. So the automation system was what really bought us some time. What Dr. Miller has suggested that we do at that time was buy a couple slide projectors, although we had already heard that they were going out, and basically use that system for another 8 years while the digital light projectors came down in price. In the intermedium, Dr. Quinn came on board, and he helped us a little bit in 2010. Our videotape drives were stretching the tapes. They were basically too old, and we switched our programming to digital hard drives. We also contracted with Astrotech, and we had the entire dome prepped for a digital light projection system. To do this, it was finished with a gray finish, and we had some roofing problems that we dealt with, had the entire dome cleaned up, and we were ready to go. So basically, when I came to you this year, we're already in phase 2. And what we want to do now is we want to finish the project by basically replacing the Spitz 512 analog solid-state planetarium with a digital domed theater system. One of the things that I want to save, which I think was an excellent investment, was when we did our lighting system. We had gotten to the point that the Lumaline lights that were there were not up to code, couldn't replace them anymore. The board approved putting in a digital light system with LED, and it's a DMX controlled system. It gives us the most amazing sunsets, and we've also worked this into some chase sequences and also some effects of a Saturn's ring system. So the digital light system that we put in, it's an amazing system. As your director, I think you're going to have another 30 years out of that system. I'd like to save that and move it on in the renovation project. This is not a system that we just sit on a tabletop. This is not an addition to your planetarium. This is a heart transplant. This is the removal of the Spitz 512 optical mechanical machine. The control panel, we had major malfunctions with it last year. Spitz couldn't identify those malfunctions. They actually tell me it's in the wiring harness. This whole operational system here is now approaching 40 years old. Along with our optical mechanical machine, this is our solar system projection here. We have 1 yellow ball with 8 small lights going around that. And if you notice, they are all in need of repair. I keep the shrouds off the planetarium machine constantly because, and I don't think anybody hears this from your kids, teachers know it, the jiggle wiggle dance. When Mr. Williams walks over and squeezes a couple of the wires, when he walks over and shakes a couple of the bulbs, when he walks into the back of the planetarium and pushes all the slides down manually. You all need to know, I've got excellent presentation skills. Your kids just laugh a little bit and we move right on. We don't let all the operational hang-ups of the system hang us up. We're able to at least operate it and slide on through. We're also looking at taking the heart of your system, which is your Alesis hard drive player, and putting this into some type of professional type of rack system. We still have Laserdisc players. We're using those. Those are absolutely obsolete. We'd like to replace that and possibly go with a whole digital projection format. This is my home stereo down here. The school district never bought a stereo system for your planetarium, and you can keep that if I ever leave, but it is a home audio system. It's about 30 watts a channel for your planetarium. We lost our one-trick pony, and the teachers in the room know this. That one-trick pony right there was a CRT projector, and it allowed us to float images in our star field. Your kids for the past 20 years think they're seeing an all-dome presentation because we were able to take images and float them amongst the stars. Troy and I have worked on replacing this system. There are no projectors that can take the place of a CRT. They don't have the ability to project a black background. This system right here, which is your GeoEarth system, is a plastic ball with a 4-watt light and grease pencil marked on the outside. That's latitude and longitude. That's what we're looking to replace with an amazing system called Layered Earth, which will be a full dome video projected Earth hooked up live to the internet for real live feeds of earthquakes, volcanoes, etc. Here is the heart of your system. Now, when we came to you last month, we talked about value. You've already invested in 14 planetarium shows. And not only did you buy the slide images, you bought the soundtracks, you bought the copyright to the images, and you also paid the royalty fees for the life of the facility. Of those 14 presentations that we have, 13 of them could be flipped over to a digital format. I really don't know anybody in the district or anybody who you're going to have to step in and go through all the slide presentations that we have, 14 shows, and figure out where those slides go and how to flip them over into digital format. This is our current program, and I wanted to be honest with everybody, it's probably the most extensive planetarium program in Southeast Pennsylvania. If your children are with me from grades 1 all the way up through grade 9, that's 45 visits in a planetarium. Dr. Miller commented about this one. He remembered when I was at 14,500. He asked what happened, and I said I'm spending a lot of my time maintaining the slides, the slide projectors, and I'm also basically putting the slides, they're all cardboard, back together so that they work. If you look at your planetarium program, you're going to notice we're not just sitting in there looking at stars. Even in first grade, we're starting with the scientific method. Kids are not just looking at the sky, they're classifying day sky and night sky. They're observing, and more importantly in that planetarium, they can predict. Little children don't have the vocabulary to show me where the sun is going to go, but they definitely can use their hands and their arms and show me what's happening. Look, we're starting scientific method all the way down in first grade, and that's so we actually foster logical thinkers. When your school district hired me, I asked one important question. How much live do you want and how much automation do you want? And they said a very nice mix, 50-50 of both. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight for you in yellow every one of these that's a presentation that we purchased. We purchased them for the evening divisions, we showed them to the community, and then I take the presentations and I work them into the daytime program. So all the topics that you see here, everything in yellow is one of those things that we own copyright to and we've paid royalty fees for. So you can see every single grade level, from first grade with Our Place in Space, all the way up through 8th grade, through the Eyes of Hubble. These are all slide projected presentations. Some have as many as 250 50 slides, 10 video clips apiece to them. It took my entire career, 22 years, to put these presentations together for you. I'm coming to the board today asking you to protect this investment. Of all these shows, I've already lost Our Place in Space and Little Star That Could. We've lost that one-trick pony. We can't really fly around in the universe, which I think is the most exciting thing that we do with kids. Instead, they hear my great presentation skills about what lies out there. We ran Little Star That Could in our adult evening division just last week. It failed 3 times during the show. I don't think one person in that audience tells our school board or anybody else, hey, the slides hung up in the back. The slides are coming up on top of each other because you got me there. I'm running around fixing everything while it's happening. They all left happy customers, and I realized, you know what? Cardboard slides, we're not going to be able to run Little Star again. It just damaged the slides that night when we ran them. So Our Place in Space, Little Star That Could, Through the Eyes of Hubble, already are things that I've had to pull out of the lineup, and I'm pulling them out because we just don't have a good way to present them to our children. So grades 1 to 9, take a look at the topics. I know it's very heavy, detailed here, but you notice we're not just stars. 8th grade, scientific notation, structure of the universe, formation theory, scale modeling of our solar system. 9th grade, exploratory topics. I couldn't get the high school over, so I started volunteering my time, and we do outer limits in the evening. The kids come over and they do their own presentations with us. Our community programs, we've got 7 or 8 per year. 'Tis the season. I know Ms. Petrauskas likes this. It won't run next year. It's all slide presentation. In fact, 20 of those slides didn't run last year when you saw the presentation in the planetarium. I don't think anybody notices this. I don't think they realize that we have excellent presentations and we're delivering maybe an A- to our audience at that point. So what I'm really looking for is your support to protect our previous investment. Now, where do we go from here? I have some challenges. Now it's a 40-year-old planetarium projector. There's no way I can buy programming for slide-based systems. Laser discs are obsolete, and we've got a static view of the universe. It's an amazing view, but your children need more. And other planetariums around us, over in Centennial School District, over in Upper Dublin School District, they're flying out to all these different objects. They go out to the different galaxies, they fly around them, they get a really good idea of what the universe really is about. I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. I can't get any high-level program to get that high school involved. If you want to talk about galactic mergers, if you want to talk about stars being born in nebula, it just doesn't cut it anymore to show them a couple slides and tell them that this is actually how it's happening. So what happens if we upgrade the entire facility? Well, everybody's hep about what are the new things that we could do. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to go promising the world to you. I'm going to really work on updating what we have, and then I'll work on the new possibilities. Layered Earth. Imagine an entire Earth on your dome that you can go into high definition, that's linked up to the internet, that can show you temperatures on the surface of the planet, plate tectonics that are occurring, earthquakes as they happen. The whole idea of going on a field trip anywhere in the world. You want to study Greece? Let's sit at the bottom of the Acropolis and take a look up and measure how high that mountain really is. I can't even tell you all the things we're going to do here. I've been walking around to the staff asking them. Sue Schofield, a teacher, tells me, Ted, I want to do cicadas this summer. Does it have to be in curriculum? Can you show us soil types? Can you show us the environment where cicadas are attacking? Yes, we could do that with Layered Earth. I have another teacher who tells me, why don't we become butterflies? Can we just follow the migratory path across the entire Earth's surface? Fly around the mountains and the different topographies that they see? Yes, we can do that. Talk about scale modeling, the ecliptic plane, galactic plane, equatorial plane. There's the wiggle jiggle dance. Those of you who do the altitude of the sun with me know that we couldn't do that this year.
The clock is ticking, buddy.
They couldn't do, I'm looking 15 minutes, I'm timing. 15 minutes.
What clock are you using?
I got that one here. I started at 10 after. I know where I'm going. Okay, so you ready?
Judy clock.
The solar system. So imagine this. I've got 8 dots going around a yellow ball. Well, if you have a virtual model of a solar system, you can fly to the planets, you can land on the planets, you can compare and contrast them. Here's a money saver right here. There is a huge 14,000 object database that comes with this new planetarium system. All these objects we can fly out to and inspect up close. So I might not have to do all the telescope slides that we have. I might be able to use the database right there that's is provided with the new system. Student presentations, I don't want to say that we were lied to, but on our last presentation by our curriculum developer, they gave us the impression that students would be making all the different presentations. Let me clarify this. The students can do planetarium presentations. They can be a little me. They can travel to the planets on a computer. They can bring it in on a flash drive and show me what they've discovered. I think the most important way to have kids understand anything is to teach it to us. So if you want to know where all these are going to take place, well, the school board asked me, there's no plan. Where or what classes will these go into? Well, here's the plan. We're looking at 5th grade geography, 7th grade geography, 7th grade math, 6th grade science, 11th and 12th grade physics. You can read them all yourself. This is a promise of where we would put all this new ability in. But the problem is this. We're already in many of these areas. This really does augment what we can do. It takes it to the next level. Oh, I have an art teacher tell me the other day, can we turn this into the Sistine Chapel? And can we look at the artwork as it was made on a domed cathedral? Exactly what we can do with a new digital light system in our planetarium. I have a little bit of a problem with vision in the planetarium. I have so many kids that forget their glasses. I always wished I had the ability to just make those stars like golf balls for a minute or so they could actually get the true look of what's out there. I have kids in 8th grade that when I get done talking about Orion the Hunter, they write down Ryan, R-Y-A-N. If I had text coming up with every single word that I said, try Zubin-Ishklamali or Zubin-Eshklamali, 2 stars out there that students would never get. You see the text, you understand what I'm talking about. With my home audio system, we do not create a sound field. I had a speech therapist in one time and said, Ted, it's very difficult for our kids to understand. There's no real image. There's no one spot where the speaker comes from. It just hits them at all angles. So I'm convinced that we could have a great effect on our vision impaired students. We'd also have on our hearing impaired students. I'm looking to take your facility to meet all learning needs, all levels, and all curricular areas. So why now? I'm now being challenged with kids who are coming in 1st grade that are very used to working with dynamic, interactive, digital imagery. Any one of you who's seen an iPad in a child's hands knows the power. Imagine our planetarium being one step beyond that iPad. In fact, it would be the ultimate idea of interactivity with our kids. Why do we want to do it now? Well, first off, I've got the instructional technology department on board. Imagine how surprised I am when Troy already knows stars, and I can take him over to Spitz and say, judge the star field with us and tell me what you think. I have Dr. Miller on board. He started with the project. We might be able to end this project during his tenure right here. And me.
Which is ending in about 5 minutes.
And me. I've got 8 years of service on the Middle Atlantic Planetarium Society board. I've advised other districts. I've volunteered to do it. I've also been a paid consultant for those districts. Even when appropriate, I recommend that Lower Moreland shut their facility down. I think you guys have a great facility here. We've all developed this together, and I've taken this program as far as we can go. I have your programs being highlighted in the Hayden Planetarium and the Fells Planetarium. In fact, which plane am I on? And if you don't believe me, come on up for Gustav Holst the Planets. Our music department, myself, will be live on Broadway at the Hayden Planetarium on August 27th. I think I've gotten as far as I can with your program now. I want you to all consider one thing. I am a Methacton stakeholder. I might not live in your district, but I've put so much time and effort into your program, I don't think I'd lead you wrong. I think I want you to take advantage of me, because I'm going to wear out too. I'm lucky if I have 10 years left. More realistically, I'll say 8 years. And in that 8 years, I think 5 of them are going to go to flipping over some of the content that we have right now. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I walk into every school daily, and I don't know if we just talk this talk, but I see this whole sign about our shared values. Methacton School District believes that state-of-the-art technology and emerging technology is essential for the quality of education, and yet we're using slide projectors. Methacton believes in providing the employees with encouragement, time, and resources to develop those shared values. What I'm really asking today is to have some faith in me. If you don't believe what I say, and I know there's a lot of people with, let's just say, credibility issues, believe in what I've done. 22 years of service, I can go 8 more, I can flip this over into an amazing digital dome facility. Okay, I think I made it, Dr.
I'm wore out. I'm shot.
So I don't know, am I allowed to ask for questions, or should we just, I don't think we do questions at this time.
Let's get everybody back on.
Okay, the board will do that. Thank you.
And Ted, I'll take the Ford Mustang convertible, and you can put the undercoating on it.
It really does have you all.
Okay. Now, what we're asking is that you approve taking this off the table. You put it on the table last month, taking this off the table, and then in two separate motions do that, and then approve the award to Spitz. It's $250,050, but it's spread out over 7 years. It's a 7-year lease at $35,721. That figure is in your current budget. The $250,000 isn't. It's a 7-year lease, but the $35,700 is. And I would recommend you do that. And if you don't, I'm liable to bring Ted back and have him make another presentation. Yeah, until you finally say, all right.
Do any of the board members have questions for Mr. Williams? Or comments, or?
I do. Mr. Williams, of all the programs that you have up there, you alluded to the fact that 2 or 3 of them are no longer functional because the slides are damaged or whatnot. Will those programs be able to be transferred to this new system?
If you look at the bid proposal, the Spitz system is actually... The Spitz system.
That's a bad thing.
It's in that bid proposal. If you look at the Spitz system, they are trying to capture our market. They know that there's a lot of us out there that invested money. Some of the presentations we bought from them. The system's basically designed to scan images in and allow us to place them where the slide projectors were, or move them at random anywhere around the dome also. The Spitz is offering a summer academy this year, and I'm going to offer to go that, no cost to the district, to get the training to make all of that actually happen. It's about a 1-week program. It's in July. I'll take the cost out of my pocket to do the training for it, and that will give me the knowledge base of taking all that digital imagery and reworking it into the new shows.
So you can re-salvage those old shows?
I'd say the only one I can't salvage anymore is Little Star That Could. The whole Pluto segment just keeps ruining it for the kids. We really want to get Pluto out as one of the planets, and they're flying around Pluto. It's the star of that show. So other than Little Star That Could, every one of those 13 presentations, I can't tell. 40 prep periods for one presentation. It takes me about a year to get all those one presentation together. I'm hoping to cut that in half and do 2 or 3 every year. That way I won't be coming back to the board bugging you, I need new programming. I want to take what we have and use that to its fullest.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if this is Jeff or Ted question. The current system is 40 years old, so we got a lot of mileage out of it for sure. The lease of the new one is 7 years. What happens at the end of the 7-year lease with the equipment?
We own it.
We own it outright.
And when we asked at Spitz, now how long can we project this one into the future? Now when you're doing digital formatting, they didn't want to say how long they'd do it, but I think, Mr. Phelps, didn't they say 25 to 30 years is what they'd buy us there? Because we've actually come down to the level that it can't get cheaper. It actually came down to the level of an optical mechanical machine, and what it really is cinema digital quality that's in your dome. So once we got to that level that the same image we have on our dome is the same you'd see in a movie theater, there's not going to be a lot driving that to get any better in the near future. So we safely got a quote from us, Spitz, that says you can expect 25, possibly 30 years out of this system.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just one more. Regarding the financing of it, is this still in this current budget, in the proposed budget that we're going on, as was presented at the last work session?
The $35,000 per year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from the board?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a heck of a show to go down there and see it. I wish more of you saw it with me. You know, the iPads now, they're high definition, and how they create the stars currently just poking that hole in that paper, that's how they create a star on the planetarium. Now you have iPads. I mean, that's the difference in the 40 years in technology. You can do a lot with it. It'll be a great asset, I think, down the road. And as enthusiastic as Ted is, I don't see how it wouldn't work out that way.
The man is passionate about his work.
Yes, he is. And but I wish more board members were able to see what I saw, and it'd make your decision much easier. I'll say that.
Any other comments or questions for either Mr. Williams, Dr. Miller? Okay, so I guess we need to take care of business with number 1. And do I have a motion to take from the table the motion relating to the planetarium made, I believe, at last month's meeting? Do I have that motion? Mr. Jones. Do I have a second? Mr. Roth. I think we've taken care of all the questions. All in favor? That motion carries 8-0. Okay, now, do I have a motion to approve the bid award to Spitz in the amount of $250,050 for the planetarium projector to be paid over a period of a 7-year lease? Mrs. Shackelford? Do I have a second? Mrs. Woodring? Again, I think I have all comments and questions covered here. All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll be there this Christmas, too. I love that one. Okay, you're still on, Dr. Miller.
I am.
Yep.
The next is driver ed. We're asking you to approve the lease of 2 driver education cars for 36 months with Kaiser and Miller Ford in the amount of $289.78 per month per car. We've looked at this, and we believe the leasing of the 2 cars is still the best deal for us.
Do you want us to vote individually?
You want me to do the rest of them? I can do that. Federal programs, we're asking you to approve our participation again in the following federal programs: Title I Part A, Title II Part A, and Title III. Field trips, we're asking you to approve a trip for Methacton High School Science Fair students to attend the PJS State Fair at Penn State on May 12th through May 14th. We're asking you to grant the diplomas to members of Methacton High School's class of 2013 who meet the graduation requirements. And then we had 3 textbooks. They've been on display for a month: the World Regions of the Americas, the World Regions Europe and Russia, and World Regions Africa at the costs indicated.
Very good. Do I have a motion to approve items 12.3 through 12.7? Mrs. Shackelford? No. Oh, Mrs. Barone, sorry. Do I have a second? Mr. Roth? Any questions or comments? There being none, all in favor? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. And let's move on to policy, Dr. Miller.
I'd ask you to approve the second reading of the first reading of 13.1, 1, 2, and 3, first reading of 13.2. We did take number 4 out of there, is that right, Maria? No, number 349. And then the first reading of policies 304, 304.1, 306, 307, 310, 314, 1, 17, and 18. Second reading of 1, 4, 302, 308, 312, and 822. And the second reading of all those merged policies, 301 through 351.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the second reading policies as presented? Mrs. Shackelford? Second? Mr. Roth? Any questions or comments? All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. Thank you. And you again, Dr. Miller.
I am.
Other.
I would ask that you approve the appointment of Danielle Penza to serve as treasurer to the Board of School Directors for a term of 1 year, effective July 1st, 2013. The appointment of school physician Jeff Brand as school physician for the 13-14 school year with a retainer of $1,500. The appointment of football team physician Dr. Timothy Ammon as team physician for home football game coverage, $50 a game. School dentist Sheldon Borshow, school dentist for 13-14 at a cost of $2 per exam. Why don't we stop there and then you can do the resolutions.
Do I have a motion to approve items 14.1 through 14.4? Mr. O'Neill, do I have a second?
Yeah.
Mrs. Woodring? Any questions, comments? All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. I'm going to be asking the board this evening to approve two resolutions. The first resolution is on pension reform. The Pennsylvania Public School Employee System has increased the employer contribution rate from 5.64 in 2010 and 11 to 16.93 for the 13-14 fiscal year. It's projected to continue to increase over the next 21 years, reaching a rate of 31.43% in 2034-35, and will continue to exceed 30% for a total of 17 years, then remain in double digits for an additional 9 years thereafter. As far as district expenditures, from 2008 to 2013, the district has expended $944,145. They're projected to expend an additional $57,722,569 from 2013 through 2018. Therefore, meaningful solutions to these problems must involve identifying other funding sources for PESers, actuarially appropriate adjustments to amortization of gains and losses, limits of eligibility, adjustment of benefit levels, and examining the possibility of adaptation of a hybrid pension plan that would reduce employee costs over time. So I'm asking that the Methacton School Board call upon the General Assembly to begin immediate consideration of school employee pension reform to reduce projected costs to school districts and taxpayers over the next 3 decades. In addition, this resolution will be sent to Senator Rafferty and the 3 representatives in our area, as well as to the General Assembly. So do I have a motion to accept this resolution, approve this resolution urging pension reform? Mr. O'Neill? Do I have a second? I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Mr. Roth.
To relate this resolution to the public, the reason why it took this board how many meetings to approve the planetarium project upgrade is because of costs like this. It makes us very, very challenged into figuring out how to pay for things that we know are very outdated and need to be replaced. We have to put in millions of dollars more into this pension program. We can't do the things we want to do for our kids. My son loves the planetarium. We were given a telescope and we go camping. He said, can we take the telescope camping? And it's an older one and it's big and like this. We go into the center of the field out there at pitch black at night, and he said that's where Mr. Williams said that star system is, and he was able to point things out. And for this kid to have that knowledge, I think is invaluable. I mean, that's something I didn't have. And without blaming Senator Rafferty directly on this, because I have questions for him about this. And when I tried to talk to him today, he walked away. So you all sitting out in that audience have the power to help us fix this problem. We can't do it alone anymore, guys. We're running out of out of things to cut, out of ways to stretch the budget. Dr. Miller and Stewart down there are doing everything they can to keep our tax increases low. But it's just going to get to the point where there's nothing left to do. We won't have a choice. It seems that nobody in Harrisburg wants to take this problem on, and it has to be dealt with. Not down the road, now. We cannot do what we want to do in technology to help our kids learn better and learn more in the 12 years that they're in this district. Okay? I'm at wit's end here on this. I'm seeing these increases and seeing what Mrs. Petrarcas had just told us what's going to happen. We'll never make it. Okay? So something's got to change. And here's where I implore all of you out there to help us do this. You elected us here to do the work for the school district, but now it's time that we're asking you guys to help out as well. We can adopt these resolutions and make statements like this, but unless you guys back us up, it's not going to, nothing's going to change. And all our kids are going to suffer. That's what's going to happen. I tell you, increased class sizes. Okay? I don't know about you, but I don't want my daughter in 4th grade going into a class of 28 kids instead of 21. I mean, you know, we can't do it. And I know Mr. Andrews talks about mothballing Skyview and things like that, and enrollment and all that. Well, that's all something we got to look at. But this is dollars out of our budget that could be used for educating our kids. And that's where it stops. We've got to take a stand on this, and now's the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Mr. O'Neill.
Just a brief one. When we went through the budget numbers last week, one of the statistics I looked at that got my attention, and I think this can be understood pretty clearly to most people on an individual level as well. If you look at our salary numbers and you take the percent that's included as benefits, it's 54%. That's a pretty big number. I'd say the average worker is not getting that type of compensation on the benefit side, and a good portion of it is pension. It's just an area that's ripe for reform, and I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? You know, Mr. Andrews, you alluded to that this PSERS rate was something that we couldn't do anything about, and you're right. Basically, we can't do anything about it. It's mandated. This is a small attempt at bringing attention to it. I'm hoping that maybe next year we can have maybe a little more of an accelerated advocacy program where we can involve more of our community and more of our parents. But for now, this is going to have to do. So, all in favor? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. The other resolution that I have this evening is on calls for the reform of the Commonwealth's charter and cyber charter school funding formula. The current state funding formula for regular and special education in charter and cyber charter schools bears no relationship to the actual instructional cost incurred by the charter schools. The state's flawed charter school funding formula is costing taxpayers hundreds of millions in additional tax dollars. The Commonwealth's reimbursement to school districts for students attending charter schools was completely eliminated beginning in 2011 and 2012, and such funding has not been restored this year either. 100% of the burden of charter school tuition falls to local taxpayers. At Methacton in 2008 and 2009, our expenditures for charter schools was $414,538, of which the state reimbursed about $96,000 of that. This year, our estimated charter school expenditures is $875,000, and as I recently just mentioned, there was no reimbursement for that. Total, from 2008 to 2013, the district has spent $171,375 on this. The school districts are required to pay charter and cyber charter schools for their employer contribution, for their employer pension contribution as well. The state also reimburses charter schools for up to 50% of their pension contribution. So this allows the charter and cyber charter schools to receive payment for the same cost twice. This pension double dipping is costing school district taxpayers an additional $50 million each year. So let it be resolved that the Methacton School Board urges its district state legislators to support legislation to correct the tuition and pension payment inequities so that the funding received by the charter school reflects the true cost of educating the child. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Roth, do I have a second? Mr. O'Neill, any comments or questions? There being none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-1. Thank you. And would you like to speak to the superintendent?
Joyously. I hold in my hand the last action item of the evening. I would recommend, on bended knee, that you approve the appointment of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association as a superintendent search consultant to conduct a superintendent search for the Methacton School District. There is a change in the cost. It will be $12,200, not $12,500. A $300 discount. Yep.
You got to get it wherever you can.
That's right. Get it wherever you can. So, and I recommend you approve that appointment.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the appointment of the PSBA as our superintendent search consultant? Mrs. Woodring, do I have a second? Mrs. Shackelford? Any comments or questions? Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, can we table it for about 3 more months?
No. That would not be a lawful table motion.
All in favor? 8-0, motion carries. Thank you.
Table it, and Ted's going to make a presentation for me.
And I thank you on behalf of Dr. Miller as well. Future meetings, June 18th, we'll have our policy committee meeting at 9 a.m. at the Farina Education Center. On June 18th, 2013, at Skyview Upper Elementary School, we'll have our board work session. And then on June 25th, we'll have our technology committee meeting and a regular school board meeting with the final budget adoption at 7 p.m. Any old business from the board? Any new business from the board? It's courtesy of the floor. This is your opportunity to address the board on anything you'd like to. So, Lisa, that means you. Oh, okay. Diana? Mrs. Crenop?
Well, yeah, come on, you started. Need to finish up.
The truth is, I tried to come up earlier because I didn't want to have to follow Mr. Williams.
Good thought.
Okay. For the record, I'm Lisa Chaya. I live at 3022 Peacock Drive. I am going to start from the beginning. Please forgive me. The Methacton School District mission statement says, Methacton School District believes that all students should be given equal opportunity to achieve their greatest potential. The current proposal to eliminate full-time librarians at the elementary level does not support this mission. The proposal is to staff the library based on the number of students in each elementary building. And it is true that all children would have the same access to library class. And in fact, Woodland already shares music and art staff with Skyview. However, that sacrifice is offset by the fact that students and staff do not expect to have unfettered access to the art or music facilities. The issue with the current proposal lies in 2 parts: equitable access to a staffed facility and equitable access to the extracurricular activities offered by the elementary librarians. Our library is a $1 million resource center equipped with literature, reference books, magazines, and computers. The book collection alone needs to be selected, purchased, labeled, shelved, checked out, checked in, mended, and maintained. As any parent who has spent a weekend scouring the house for a lost library book can attest, keeping track of the library's resources is a Herculean task. A few years ago, the library aide positions were eliminated, and so elementary librarians are now the only Methacton School District employees paid to do this work. If traveling librarians are only staffing the library for library classes, when does this work get done? If books are routinely getting lost or damaged, how does this impact our library budget? Woodland staff and students need access to a staffed library at times other than their library class. How can two different traveling librarians be expected to find time to collaborate with teachers on classroom research projects, to gather materials for classrooms, and to provide student support with research skills? What happens when a teacher needs to borrow a book for class instruction and the library is closed? Woodland is full of enthusiastic young readers who want to check out books from the library even when it is not their library day. And a school should encourage this type of behavior, not prevent it. Woodland children are not being given an equal opportunity if other libraries in the district are opened and staffed every day of the school year. And this is particularly important for a school like Woodland, which receives Title I funding. Currently, our students have access to a number of extracurricular activities offered through the library. There's a Sprouts program to introduce preschoolers to Woodland. We have annual book fairs, and these are open after school hours to accommodate working parents. Our students can participate in Montgomery County's Reading Olympics. Published authors have visited our school. With two different traveling librarians, who picks up these responsibilities? And would we be forced to lose these valuable programs? My family moved to Audubon specifically for this school district. We have deep respect for the members of the school board, the administration, and every staff member of Methacton. We are proud of the fact that our high school was recently ranked one of the best in the nation. We recognize that these are difficult times for school districts all across Pennsylvania, and that tough decisions need to be made. However, schools are built with the library at their center for a reason. They represent the very essence of education. And the proposal to cut full-time librarians at the elementary level lowers our standards as a community and as a district. If Methacton School District truly believes that all students should be given equal opportunity to achieve their greatest potential, then letting our children walk past a darkened, locked library on any single day of the school year seems to run counter to everything that we stand for. We respectfully request that you reconsider the current plan and continue funding a full-time librarian at each and every elementary building. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mrs. Kernop?
I'm Diana Kernop. I'm co-president of the Methacton Education Association. I haven't been to a board meeting for a long time, and I wasn't anticipating speaking tonight. And I guess I'm rising to speak to your resolution about the pension system. Like all of you, I go to a lot of meetings, and I have a lot of information as well. And as you make public comment, I wholeheartedly understand the desperate position that you are in. But in fairness to the 800-plus people that work here, I think that we need to say, as we say to the public, we need you on our side. We need to tell the whole truth. And one of the truths is, I've paid for my pension every day that I worked here out of my salary. And we have put pension reform in within the past 2 years. New teachers are going to pay over 10% toward that pension. I appreciate that you have a pension debt that is coming. Part of the problem is old debt that the legislature said, you have a bill and you're not going to pay it, along with new debt. Maybe what we need to do as we're looking at educational reform and the pension issue is we need to go back to the legislature and say, tell me why in 2 years you've cut $800 million out of funding for public education. Maybe we need to collectively go back to the legislature and say, how is it that we have avenues for raising revenue in the state that you refuse to do, like Marcellus Shale, closing the Delaware Loop, not taxing the sales tax at 6%, not sending it all to the state? There are options out there, and collaboratively and collectively, we need to work on them. But please recognize, you're not giving away money to me in my pension. I've paid for it too. Thank you.
Any other comments this evening? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Labash. I've lived within the boundaries of the school district since 1949. No wisecracks. I walked through Methacton High School one weekend when it was just I-beams and stairwells and no walls. I went to Methacton. I graduated in the top 10 of my graduating class. And my father was a member on the school board when they decided to install a planetarium when they were building Arcola Intermediate School, when they had many, many options of other types of facilities and special rooms and special activity places that, there was a laundry list of things from which they had to choose. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am tonight that my father used to sit at the supper table at night and say, we're going to get that planetarium in the building because someday some student from Methacton is going to discover the theory behind gravity. That's how I grew up, with that kind of discussion going on at the supper table. So thank you very much. I'm thrilled to death to be here on a night when I know I'm not going to have to scrounge around and look for slide projectors at yard sales for Ted anymore. You laugh, I did that. It's the third one on the left.
Mrs. Labash, I just recently heard that story too. I was introduced to a gentleman who was a board member at the time the decision was made, and I was told it was almost a pool. So
yes, they were going to. They were thinking about putting in bowling alleys. They were thinking about putting in an archery range. They were thinking about putting in a swimming pool. I know this because I heard this at the supper table, and Vincent Farina used to come to my house and discuss things with my father. My father, on his lunch break when he worked in Center City, Philadelphia, used to go out to the different banks, whatever the banks were, back in between 1959 and 1961, and he would let me see, how should I put this? He would make banks give him an offer of how much interest rate they would offer him if he would put all their tax monies at their bank, because the bank, all the tax monies that were used for salaries and, facilities and executing the program were just like in a passbook savings account. They weren't invested, they weren't in CDs, they weren't in anything. And on its lunchtime, he would just go around to banks and say, we have $15 million. How much interest are you going to give us? And we want so much of it due every 2 weeks for payroll. That's what he did in his spare time. One time a parent, it's probably several parents, were very concerned when in the late spring or sometime over the summer when all the busing routes and walking routes came out, and they expressed a concern that they lived within 1 mile of Audubon School and their kids were supposed to be walkers, but they tried to explain that there was no really good, safe way for them to walk to school. And so that weekend, my father went out and walked all the bus routes and the walking routes. He knew where they all were. We didn't know where he was until he came home and harangued us at the supper table. He was integrally involved in the district, and everyone in my family has green blood, I'm sorry to say.
Thank you, Mrs. LeBlanc.
But anyway, I have 2 other little short questions. I believe that tomorrow night the high school is having their award and scholarship evening, is that right?
That's correct.
And I don't know where it is going to be held.
High school auditorium. At the other end.
The other end of the building, yeah.
And it starts at what time?
7 o'clock.
It's a thrilling evening. If you've never attended one, I hardly recommend it. It's just thrilling and exciting, you know, every time that I've ever gone to hear very briefly about the accomplishments of the students. The other thing, I don't know how much you're aware of this, but Methacton graduated its first graduating class in 1964, and so this next year will mark the 50th anniversary of the first graduating class. And so I don't know, I think there is some kind of a committee that is planning some kind of activities for the upcoming school year, but I would think that the staff and the school board and the administration would want to make every possible effort to have as many events as possible, many opportunities as possible, not just for former class officers or members of the class of 64 or anyone just come to like 1 or 2 things, but perhaps relatives of former board members and administrators and so forth, you know, whoever would be available, invite Vince Farina's 1 or 2 daughters, that kind of thing. So I think it's a major benchmark in the history of the school district. I think that there should be tours made available to have give people who have been out of town or have not been inside a school building recently to have some tours to see some of the high benchmarks that this district has known to set in our part of the country. Thank you.
Any other comments this evening? Ms. Salva.
Candy Alama, Eagleville. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board for approving the planetarium program. It's about time, I know. And I don't get to do this often. That's why I wanted to thank you for doing this. For some reason, I have no children in the school district anymore. I don't plan on grandchildren for a long time. But this is a program that I think my kids enjoyed. It's been behind my house for a long time. And it's exciting to see that another generation of kids will be able to be in the 21st century in technology. So that being said, your resolution on pension reform. Now, I understand a lot of people say there's nothing that can be done about it. Unfortunately, asking Harrisburg to act on pension reform is like asking the fox to watch the hen house, because their pensions will be affected, and they don't want that to happen. Thursday morning, Mike Verb is having a town breakfast at Collegeville Bakery, and I would suggest people go to speak. You might be able to corner him there. There needs to be pension reform. I mean, I sympathize with the teachers and their pension. There are a lot of people who have completely lost their pension. But the money that's being paid out is unsustainable. And it will directly affect the education of the students. It will affect the employment of the teachers in this school district. I think all the school districts and the superintendents, even though their pensions are involved, need to go to, or school boards need to go to Harrisburg. And at some point, sit back and say there's nothing we can do, it doesn't work. you have to be loud. You have to, I mean, I see a lot of groups go up to Harrisburg and rail. They have to know school boards can't do this. The taxpayers, I know a lot of people that are angry that they feel they have to replace someone's pension. That's how they're looking at it, that there was money lost, so the taxpayers are coming back with their hand out and say, well, you have to make up. And I've heard 3 legislatures on TV kind of allude to that because of the economic meltdown. A lot of taxpayers have felt the meltdown, are still feeling it in my household. And they look at boards and say, why don't you do something? And a resolution's a first step. There is something you can do. I mean, I keep hearing if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. That was Malcolm X saying. There has to be a solution. Maybe everybody needs to get together in a room and either talk it out or fight it out or beat each other up or scream and holler. But it just, Harrisburg has to be made aware that school districts can't do this anymore. Taxpayers can't do this anymore. But I really commend you on the resolution. At least it's a first step. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments this evening? Kyle.
Kyle about Lower Providence. I also want to take the time to say I support the resolution for PSERS reform. I sat through that marathon session for the budget last week, and it is just numbers-wise, whether it was any other type of expenditure, it's unsustainable to be continuously paying that amount and expect a school district to continue to function. So, Herb, I know you said you want people to back you up. I'll back you up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to take you up on that. Any other comments this evening? Okay, let's move on to communications. Mrs. Lynch.
Patty McGinnis, a gifted support specialist at Arcola, will set sail tomorrow to assist scientists on an 8-day survey monitoring juvenile rockfish populations and other ecosystem components off the coast of California. McGinnis will participate in this cruise as part of NOAA's Teacher at Sea program, a real-world research experience that bridges science and education. McGinnis boards the research vessel Ocean Star in Sausalito, California, and she'll assist scientists daily as they conduct an ongoing study of juvenile rockfishes, many of which support important West Coast commercial and recreational fisheries. The survey will also collect data on other fishes, plankton, seabirds, marine mammals, and physical ocean conditions along the California coast. McGinnis is writing a blog about her experience, which I'm sure will be linked to her website, and we look forward to watching her progress online. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but absolutely not least, Dr. Quinn, recognition. Oh, sorry, Dr. Miller. I'm sorry, Jeff.
That is.
Oh, gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Recognition of retirees.
Yes. On the good side of the retirement system are some of our people who are leaving us this year. There are 29 of them, and it gives me pleasure to read their names, and Mr. Harney will hand you a plaque for your years of service here. There are 29 of them, as I said. Most of them are in the audience. I'm going to read their names. We have a little reception planned for all of you out in the breezeway afterwards, and we hope you will hang around and join us so we can do that. I wonder if, I guess I ought to go up to that microphone. You all line up here after you get your plaque so we can get a picture. How's that? I'm going to read all the names, even those who aren't here, because they need to be recognized as well, even though they couldn't make it. So as I call your name, will you come down, get your plaque, and line up? Susan Ashenfelter, William Black, Connie Benfield, Marcia Benner. Should I tell them our story, Marcia? Karen Kalidas, Carol Davis, Louise Gerlman, Joanna Gottardi, Leslie Handler, Jeanette Harper, Marianne Havas. Paul Kohler. Mary Ellen Kraft, Melissa Lance, Bruce McGregor, Susan Markley, Greg McNeil, Deb Morris, Angela Mullen, Eileen Patram, Fred Patterson, Rosemary Paul, Oh, it's getting backed up. Well, if I read them all, then I can go shake their hands while they're waiting. Okay, where was I? Francis Petrone. Robert Rambo. Peter Rayner, Francis Say, Patricia Vento. Pat Vento. And Steve Walton. And Tim Wolper. That's it.
Okay.
Picture time. I want you all to know my plaque is hanging in my living room. I look at it every day. Well, I used to look at it every day.
Thank you. In keeping with the mood, we'll be outside under the stars for our reception. Right outside, right out the door. Beautiful night tonight.
After we adjourn.
After we adjourn. After we adjourn.
Oh, we have to wait. Okay, we'll wait.
And maybe we'll see the sun come up.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second to Mr. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. 8-0.
Meet us out back.